Chant Summer Day. Greetings, everyone. Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Chant Summer Day. We are here again today, Saturday. Yesterday, the 27th, was my Carla's communication corner, and I fell asleep and I didn't get to do it. So today on Chantasama Day, I'm gonna squeeze my Carla's communication corner into and interweave it together. Okay, stick with me. You see. So thanks for joining Chantasama Day. We are here today on Saturday, and I just finished watching the news. I look at the news the day after it comes on. I gotta light it. I gotta light an incense. Hold on, y'all. And I watched it. I watched the news, and stop eating the foolery. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay, Rastafari told y'all years ago this gonna happen. Now it's happening. So we gotta eat the greens of the earth, the herbs of the field. We cannot be eating animals. This is a very archaic kind of thing that humans eat. And I'm telling you, because I used to eat it, okay? And we have to realize that we have a short time, right? Thank you for liking this video. We have a short time, and in that short time, what are we to do? We are to eat right, live right, do good, be kind, show mercy, have grace, be respectful. You know what I mean? These are the things. But when we eat meat, it causes us to be contrary to those things I just mentioned, because it's toxic, okay? You're eating an animal that was slaughtered. Even though it's seasoned up and stewed up and it's, guess what? It still has that energy, and it still has that entity of death in it. We are alive. I want right now a smoothie churning around in the blender. You know, that's what I would love. Right now, I'm having my hot tea. Okay, this hot tea is a detox tea. It's a roasted roots tea. And on the tea bag today, it says, when fear is forcing you to give up, call upon your heart's courage to keep on keeping on. Okay? Okay? Keep on keeping on. So that's important. So I got my incense lit. This incense is called Kush. Yeah, it smells so good. My daughter, when she was here, she says it's just toxic. But I love it. And I'm going to have it on here. Yeah, I have that. So let's get into the Psalm today, shall we? Let's first unpack what I heard on the news in terms of this the food. Okay, so the food in America, I'm gonna tell you all this one time, is poison. Okay, the food in the USA is poison. It's poisonous. The ingredients in the foods in the US is not regulated. Just because we have a FDA don't mean nothing. Okay, It's just there. It's a front for something else. So yeah, I'm going to talk about the truth. This is what it is. So the whole idea of the FDA is ridiculous. Totally, like ridiculous. So anyway, when we talk about, and I'm prefacing the psalm with this because, um, where is my, oh, here it is. um, I want to see what the psalm is for today because I haven't even looked, y'all. It's actually Psalm 139, and I did that one already. However, let's see. 139. And 139 is good. This is a good one. Search me, O righteousness, and know my heart. Just like my tea, my my little tea, um my little tea bag said, right? When fear is forcing you to give up, what do you call upon? Your heart's courage to keep on keeping on. And this is what the psalm is. Search me, O righteousness, and know my heart, right? You want to build your heart up because let me tell you something. You can get a heart attack quick, stressing out and stroking out. So you want your heart to be light, bright, and beautiful. Yeah, that's what you want. So you can maintain a semblance of homeostasis. What is that? Balance. When you're off balance, you can fall, right? That's why I say don't fall in love. Stand in it. Like stand upright in it, and you'll see. My communication corner that did not happen yesterday on the 27th was about communication and how important communication is in respectful settings. And an example I was going to share, and I fell asleep, was about myself and my good friend communicating and disagreeing on something. Well, not disagreeing, but it was sort of like, okay, why didn't this happen? And you didn't do this and this, and So instead of attacking the person, putting them down in the process of communication, I lifted myself up as well as them to realize, like, look, we have a communication as mature adults that we can get over a hump in the road. There's a speed bump. You got to slow down and you got to kind of let the vehicle roll on its own over the bump. So there's going to be bumps in life. What do? It's good when you have a mature person on your side, right? You're able to then navigate your own emotions as well as theirs because they're lifting up your emotion. They're lifting you up with their maturity and their security, right? They're not insecure. They're not immature. They are embracing a security and a maturity that moves them into places of resolutions. So in communication, it's important to be present in a respectful way, not putting somebody down, right? I was told, someone was telling me how they were talking to someone and they were constantly putting them down. Like, you're not this and you this and you this. And what the heck? If you're going to correct someone, correct them with righteousness. Let that lead the way. Okay? Putting somebody down to bring them up is futile. You're going to end up being down there too. So I don't think I'm better than anyone, and I don't feel anyone is better than me. We're all equal in the sight of what's righteous and what's good and kind. And that's why I ask that the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart is acceptable in the sight of what is righteous, what is good and kind and merciful. This is what we want. We want that in our lives so that we can be stress-free and have a healthy body. Wealth is health. Health is wealth. Once you're healthy, you can go out there and make the smoneys. But if you're not healthy, how in the world are you going to go and make some money? The government's going to be taking care of you for the rest of your life. It's called disability. Is that what you want? And then when they dictate to you what you got to do, open up your legs to do something, you better get ready, because when somebody owns you, guess what? They're going to want to do what they want to do with you because they own you. Don't put yourself in a position where somebody owns you. I could walk away from my job today and I'll be okay. They don't own me. I'm a free agent. I don't have to be there. Okay? So, I'm not going to walk away from my job. I love my job. I love teaching because I'm up there lecturing, and that's me. I am going to lecture, and that's what I love to do. And teach my classes and let students know you are possible because you are you. You can do it because you are you. And in the Psalm today, searching me, O righteousness, and knowing my heart. I want righteousness to search me, like go all. Yesterday there was a rainbow. Look at my Facebook. You're gonna see there was a rainbow following me. Hi, Jade. Mwah, I miss you, girl. Hi, Jade. How are you? I miss you. I'm so glad that you're joining my Chanta Psalm a day. Yeah, so if you go, you'll see there was a rainbow following me. Okay, yeah, people might say that rainbow isn't following you. You think the universe revolves around you. Yeah, it does. It revolves around you, and you. Because you are part of it, right? Remember I said in this psalm, you came out of the perfection of righteousness. We're just a drop in the bucket of that. We represent that great perfection. So we are, in fact, perfect beings, but we have forgotten that. Because people tell us, your nose ain't finished grow. Your skin too dark. You got a space there between your teeth. They find everything that was created to make you righteous and good and to make it a false about you. Don't do that. There's nothing false about you. There's nothing wrong about you. There's nothing about you that is, you are flawless. Okay? You may have a mole hair. Years ago, if you had a mole hair, it was ugly. It looked like a witch or something. Now it's pretty. You have the beauty mark. It's a mole. Things change. Trends are changing all the time. I talked to my son yesterday about people who follow. You're following a trend. You're, instead of creating and being the trend setter, right? It's interesting because I wrap my hair sometimes, right? And in my classes, when I teach, I wrap my hair. Sometimes I do, right? Depends on what the day is. Anyway, in my class, a student, she's wrapping her hair now. And I said, that is so beautiful. She has it wrapped up and it looks so raw. It's like I'm like, oh my goodness. So, yes, we are influencing each other. You may not know that you're influencing somebody because it's, you're being you, and then they want to try what you are trying. So those of you who eat meat and chicken and beef and pork, Piggly Wigglies, guess what? I don't want it. So give me some lobster. My friend Stafford, shout out to Stafford. That's my childhood elementary school friend. He brought me 3 lobsters. Look at my Instagram. You're going to see. I was so excited. I said, I got the lobsters. And I showed the picture of the 3 lobsters. He brought me 3 lobsters and didn't charge me a dime. That's what a friend does. He bought the lobsters now. And the lobsters ain't cheap. He gave me 3 lobsters. So I'm going to do a painting for him or something to, show my kindness in return, because he didn't have to do that. Nobody has to be kind. That's not a rule, right? That's just something innate in a person. That's inside them. So the Psalm today, 139, it speaks to that. Let me get my mouse. It speaks to what I'm talking about. So I prefaced all of this for a reason. I just don't be going off into talking in tangents, okay? It's all aligning. And in that alignment, we have this Psalm 139. And I'm like, wow, look at that. And I wanted to look at the daily word and see if there's any tie-in. Thanks for liking this video, by the way, and for tuning in to Chant to Psalm. Oh, the word today is acceptance. Acceptance. So acceptance. And the whole theme is communication. What is communication? Communication is using your ears to listen and your voice to speak. So it's us listening and speaking. That's communication. Listening and speaking. So when you're speaking, I'm listening. I'm not thinking about what I'm going to speak next. I'm taking in what you're speaking of, and I'm processing it by listening to it. Then when you're done, then I get to speak. And I may not speak on what you've said, but I should. That's called active listening. I repeat what you've said. That's active listening. And I listen actively by repeating it. If you said to me, the sky is purple, I'm going to say, oh, the sky is purple. However, I see it as blue. Where do you see the purple? See how that communication is? That's active listening. I have actively listened to a person by repeating what they've said and then either questioning them about it or putting my interpretation on that. So communication is about acceptance. And the word today is acceptance. It's coming from Matthew chapter 6, verse 10. Talking about the kingdom is going to come, right? What is that? That's righteousness. That's all it is when they talk about the kingdom come and all that. Goodness and mercy going to come. It's already here. You just got to grab it. People waiting for Jesus' second coming. They talked about that in the church when I went to service. It's here. Hello? What's happening? It's now. Get on the train of righteousness today. Make that your go-to for today. How am I going to be righteous today? What am I going to do kind today? Because righteousness will be done. It's going to be done on earth as it is in the most beautiful heavenly places, right? Righteousness will be done. So because of that, I always talk about righteousness is going to cover the earth as the water cover the sea. So get on with me, right? Get on that train of goodness, mercy, love, and kindness. And thank you for being kind and liking this video. That is really kind of you to do that. So we have the word today as acceptance. So let's dive in, shall we? And dig deep. We're going to unpack Psalm 139. Are we ready? Who's ready out there in YouTube land? Yes, I'm excited about the Psalm. I love the word and reading it and embracing it into my life and into my day. Okay, I got to turn my fan this way. Okay, it gets hot on the island. So my next trip is to Barbados. I got to look and see how much it costs to get to Barbados. I want to do a week, not a week, but a strong end. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and come to Barbados. I don't know how far it is, Jade, but we're going to get there. Anyway, this Psalm today is, diving deep into yourself. So searching yourself, inside of yourself, and looking at that righteousness. Remember I talked about you are the good soil? You are the good soil. You have to plant inside of you all the seeds of what righteousness represents. Mercy, love, kindness, long suffering, forgiveness, and all of those things. You have to live in those spaces. And that is what you have to plant. In other words, you have to plant inside yourself those attributes so that you have them whenever you need them. Because let me tell you, you may want to meet someone and see someone, and then they're not able to see you, and then you don't want to get upset. You want to go into a long suffering stage and just sit there in forgiveness and kindness and righteousness and mercy and love, and not just human worldly love, but love that is unconditional, and it's action. It's active. It's moving. Love is always moving and acting in its way, right? Love is what love does. It's an action. So when people tell you they love you and they show you something different than that, then it's confusing, right? It gets kind of dicey. So on this Saturday, people are welcoming in, well, they ushered in yesterday, 6 o'clock, the Sabbath day, Friday night. I went to sleep, oh my goodness, I think at 7 o'clock or something. I was so tired. I tried to stay up to do my communication corner that I do on the 27th of the month, every 27th, and I fell asleep. This happens. So I'm kind of putting it all together this rise with the Psalm and with the communication corner. My communication corner started when my relationship was failing. There was no communication. There was no on the same page situation. So the communication was lacking. So I started Carla's communication corner as a cry for communication in my relationships. And my relationship ended, due to a lot of different things. But communication was the main kind of thing that ended it, because there was no communication. The person communicated with someone else, right? And when you communicate your relationship with someone else, that someone else is looking like, okay, I want this, da, 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 and they, this is what happens. So when people are weak, this happens. When they're weak and they're not strong in their love of themselves, they can easily get sucked up into demonic relations with other people. And I'm not saying anybody out there is in demonic relationships, okay? When you throw a rock into a crowd, it's the one who gets hit is going to react. So who feels it knows it. That's all it is. So when we look at the Psalm today, searching our heart and knowing who we are will enable us to attract the people that we want in our lives by being what we want. So you got to be the change you want to see. Okay? You want somebody to be honest with you and respectful. You got to do it. Okay? Be the change you want to see. So in verse 1, Psalm 139, I ask that the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart is acceptable in the sight of what is righteous, what is good, what is kind, what is loving. We want all of that. And we seek that out in people instead of seeking it out in ourselves. It starts with us. And I've been in relationships with people where I saw that they didn't tap into themselves. And I was like, come on, let's tap into you. You're amazing. You're an engineer. You're beautiful. You can do that. Da, 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 da. And they couldn't see it within themselves. So then it became a frustration, after a while. So you have to search yourself and know yourself in order to be for someone else. You know what I mean? You can't be for anyone if you're not for yourself. It starts with you. Nobody can complete you but you. You complete you. Okay, don't get it twisted. So my words in my mouth, I ask that it's acceptable in the sight of what is righteous and good and kind. So the first verse, righteousness leads the way, and have searched and known you. Okay, righteousness, have searched you and have known you. I and I. Okay, Stay away from the pronouns. No you and no me. It's I and I. So I and I know when I and I sit up and rise up, righteousness discerns my thoughts from afar. Okay? Verse 3, now listen carefully. Righteousness searches out I and I path, and I and I resting. And righteousness is acquainted with all of my ways. Okay? Getting up and drinking hot tea, that's one of my ways. Righteousness knows this. And what is that righteousness? But you inside yourself. You know you. You know what you want. You know what you need. You know what you give and what you're going to be. You know it. Don't let the world and the things of the world distract you from who you are to be. So, in verse 4, even before a word is on my tongue, so even before I am going to communicate, behold, righteousness knows. Righteousness knows. Bottom line. So when we are communicating, and this is our communication corner and Psalm a day together in one, because I fell asleep. Wow. When you are communicating a word, right? Guess what? Righteousness knows that word that you're going to communicate. Verse 5, righteousness hems I and I in, behind and before, and lays righteousness's hand upon I and I. That hand of righteousness is upon I and I. Therefore, my words that come out of my mouth are cleansed in the fire 7 times before I speak to you. I am allowing righteousness to lead my communication with you. So it doesn't go south. It doesn't get into an argument where people are calling people names. You this and you that. Hey, Malt Licky, how you doing, hon? So communication being led by righteousness is what you want. And such knowledge, according to verse 6, is too wonderful for I and I. It's the knowledge of righteousness's power is high. You can't attain it. It's up there. Remember, Michelle Obama said, when they go low, you go what? High. You gotta stay up there. Okay, that low energy of sex, sexual relations, that's a low energy. That's how can I say it? It's a low energy of flesh energy, very low. When you're feeling in your flesh and you're feeling, like people call it, horny. It's a low energy when you feel those things. When I feel this high energy of righteousness and I'm in that making love space, oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. And you're not into the flesh, but you're into a righteousness in a love-making space. That's the go-to. That's what's leading you. Kindness, respect, and mercy, and touching in a kind, loving, respectful way. I've had people who have made love to me and said to me, oh my goodness, that was a spiritual experience. I said, what? Oh no. So, yeah. It's got to be more than the physical flesh. You've got to come out of your flesh. I've had experiences where I came out of my flesh and saw the Most High as I'm making love with some, this is happening. I'm being pulled on high. It's a high feeling. You have these endorphins flowing, right? So when we look at this knowledge is so high and wonderful, you can't attain it. I'm talking about, sexual relations and the flesh. Yes, I'm talking about that because it's low. and is the opposite of high. So you have to get on high. Get on high with someone, right? And you'll be able to find within you the power that's undeniably and just strength of power, okay? Yes, if for a man is hard. I know for a woman sometimes it's hard too. But a man of righteousness is going to forego his flesh. Like my friend Stafford, he's a man. He's my friend. He doesn't hit on me and, want me in that kind of fleshly way. He's like my brother. He sings in the church. He performs in the church. He, does Bible stories and he does, these things. He's a man of righteousness. He looks at me as his sister that he has to protect, not someone he has to go and have sex with, and want to touch on their booty and ride on a booty and all this kind of stuff people talk about. So those things are low energy and they get you caught up. Because guess what? When you're not able to have sex, what's going to happen? People are going to be fussing and fighting and arguing and you're not touching me no more. And like, what? Go read a scripture. Go find a higher elevation of contact, as opposed to you gotta have an orgasm and you gotta make me have one and what? No. In verse 7, it talks about, where shall I go from this righteousness? Where can you go from it? Where can you go from it? Or where are you going to flee from the presence of righteousness? Where? It's a rhetorical question. Nowhere. Stay in the presence of the Most High Almighty. Stay in the presence. Do that will. That will be done on earth as it is in the heavenly places. What is that will? The will of goodness. The will of mercy, righteousness, kindness, love, and compassion. Why are we not doing these things? And then we get into situations and we wonder why. It's because we have not been led by our righteousness. We're being led by our flesh. The flesh is weak. It's going to drop. It's going to leave. It's going to stay on this earth. That's what's going to happen. You're not taking this flesh with you when you go any place away from this earth. You're not taking it with you. So while you have it, love on it. Love on it. It's called self-care. Okay, go get a massage. Head to toe. I went to St. Lucia and had a massage. Oh my gosh. From head to toe. Okay. I laid there with my face in the thing that you put your face in. I don't know what it's called. On the massage table. And I was in solitude with God. I was in commune with the Most High righteousness. And I laid there talking to the Savior who gave me the breath of life. And I'm talking to that one, communicating with that one in this massage. Every part of my body that was being cared for, I was thanking in that massage table. Thank you for this kind touch. Thank you for this kind movement of hands on my body. It wasn't sexual. It was spiritual or righteous. If that's such a word, righteous. So, how do we get out of our flesh? Simple. Stop eating it. When you are a vegetarian and you don't eat the flesh, you're not going to want sex and flesh like that to suck people up and whatever you all do out there with each other. That's going to be something you're going to want as an icing on the cake. It's not something that's the cake. It's the icing that you put on it. It's the final touches. And when you have a relationship like that, it's going to last. It's going to have longevity. because it's not riding off of flesh. It's riding off of this righteousness, and you're on the wings of love, in other words, right? So the question in verse 7, where shall I go from the righteousness and where shall I flee from it? You cannot. When I ascend to up to heaven, righteousness is there. When I make my bed in this dirty Babylon, righteousness is there. Okay? When I take the wings of the rise, okay, and I dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, righteousness is there. Okay? And righteousness is there. When dwelling in the uttermost parts of the sea, righteousness is there. I'm going to head to the beach soon. And even there, the hand of righteousness is going to lead I and I. What did I talk about? Let righteousness lead you. Hot little hole. What are you talking about? Yeah, that sounds demonic. I'm afraid to tell you, loving the flesh, right, and wanting the flesh is demonic. It's like snaky, and slimy and disgusting. That's what it is. Love righteousness first, and all shall be given to you. Okay? All things are working together for your good now. And let me tell you, when all things are working together for your good, you're not going to even think about the flesh. Love righteousness. That's what's first. So even there, yeah, we got a flesh demon, Malicky. I'm going to have to put you as a moderator and get him out. We got a flesh demon. That's what these folks are. And they will go have sex with this person, break up with the person, not even tell the person they broke up, and go on with somebody else having sex already. Yes. That's what happens. So when we look at the psalm and we look at this righteousness leading you and holding you, when I talk about surely the depressive person shall cover me, and the light about me is going to be night. When I say this, let me tell you, that's not even good to talk about, that the depression is going to cover you. And this is what happens to some folks. I think hot little whatever you are, you need to be uncovered from that depressive. When I hear this, that sounds like somebody who is depressed. Yeah, when you care just about the flesh and you care about, somebody's private part more than anything else, that is weak. And that is somebody who is in a depressive state. So let's lift up hot a little bit here and guide them into the light. And that's what Jesus is. Jesus is the light, right? So maybe they don't use the word Jesus, Licky. So we got to tell them, come on, you need to be guided into the light, okay? Even the depression is not going to be depressive to you. Okay? It's not going to be, so you want to be in this light, okay? And I ask that the depression lifts off of you hot and that you see the light that's with you, okay? Because what's going to happen is even when it's night, it's not going to be night to you. The night is going to be bright as the day, and depression is not going to be a light, okay? So we look at for I and I was formed by righteousness. Righteousness formed my inward parts, okay? The private parts, all of these parts, righteousness formed those parts. So when you talk about you love the flesh and you want to get the, people's private parts and you want to be in there with that and all this stuff, guess what? Who formed all of that? It's righteousness. So go to the source of that you love. So the flesh that was formed by righteousness. It speaks of it here in verse 13. This is Psalm, what Psalm is this? 139, verse 13. You were formed, your inward parts were formed by righteousness. Righteousness knitted together your flesh in your mother's womb. Okay, so who do we thank for the flesh? Righteousness, right? So in verse 14, you're going to give thanks to righteousness, for you are fearfully and wonderfully made, right? So you're going to give thanks. So don't go erring on the side of you want to have sex and you want to have sex and you want to have sex, right? This is an immature person, okay? Oh my goodness. So I don't know what that sound is like at all. I don't know what you're talking about because I am not in the flesh like that. I have elevated into righteousness within me. So when you're talking about these things, it's just hilarious and it doesn't make sense to someone like me. I think you need to go on a channel where that's what they're talking about, because this is not that what we're talking about here. So because you are wonderfully and fearfully made, your works are wonderful. Your life knows that works very well, according to Psalm 139, verse 14. Verse 15, your frame was not hidden. It wasn't hidden. It wasn't hidden. And when you were being made in secret, okay, you were intricately woven in the depths of the earth. Okay, I eyes saw an unformed substance. Righteousness saw you as an unformed substance, like you were just a worm, you were just this substance, okay, an egg and a sperm. And in the book of righteousness is written that every one of them, the days were formed for righteousness. You were created for good. You were created for righteousness, and now you're fighting that, talking about the flesh, right? You were created for something higher than the flesh. Once you grab onto that heights of righteousness, all will be given to you, okay? Just like David and Solomon, okay? They grabbed onto righteousness, and what did they receive? They received wives and virgins and all. They have women they can go to whenever they want to go have sex, because they erred on the side of righteousness and their saving grace is the Most High, the one and only. They served that first, not their flesh, and then they were rewarded, all these women. So guess what, hot? You're out there wanting sex and all that stuff. Guess what you need to do? Do what Solomon and David did. They served and they chanted the psalm and they stayed in their righteousness, and that's what they did. Long suffering. Listen to the story of Jacob and Rachel. Jacob waited like 17 years to be with Rachel. He waited 7 years and then another 7 years. Yeah, they probably did that with David. But David was already in his righteousness I'm talking to you about. He didn't do that first. In other words, that wasn't first. Righteousness was first, not the flesh. So yeah, David got rewarded with all of that, let me tell you. Okay? He had his concubines, he had his wives, he had his virgins, he had all of it at his disposal. Because righteousness gave that to him. Because guess what? He did not go in the fleshly mentality that you are talking about. Okay? So when we look at this, you are written, you are part of this righteousness, and every one, the days that were formed, and yet, as yet, there was none. So how precious. How precious. Okay, good. Thank you, moderator, for handling hot. How precious to I and I are the thoughts of righteousness. Those are precious thoughts. But this person here typing all this stuff about sex and stuff like that, guess what? Those thoughts are not precious. They're fleeting. They're not lasting. They're not longevity thoughts. Okay. Okay, let me just, I have to put you on a timeout, like a little babe, like a little child. You on a timeout, okay? Get right. I'm gonna send words of kindness to you out there, okay? So the thoughts of the righteous are precious. When I would count these thoughts, these thoughts are more than the sand. I awake and righteousness is still with me, with I and I. So we're 14 minutes after the hour, and as we finish up here, verse 19 is about slaying the wicked. I just slayed someone just now. Slaying the wicked, because the wicked is about flesh. The demons are about flesh. Okay, they eat the flesh of the people all day long. They eat up the flesh of the earth. They just flesh. They want chicken. They want meat. They want bacon. They want eggs. This is what they want. Flesh. Okay, flesh. I don't want flesh. Oh, Malt, you are so kind. I have patience as a saint. Thank you, Malt. I have mercy on people. That's what it is, you know. You don't know what this person hot is going through, that they're coming on to my live with this kind of language. They may be going through some mental challenges, and I don't want to judge them and say that they're bad and mean, but what they're writing about is toxic and it's demonic. They may not be. They may not be demonic and toxic, but what they're showing is that they have forgotten who they are. They've forgotten that they've been created out of that perfection of goodness. They forgot that. So they're going to err on that side, right? And when you forget something, say you forget your glasses, it's going to be hard for you to see, right? If you wear glasses. Say you forget the answer on a test, you're going to get it wrong because you forgot. So when you forget who you are, you're going to lose things. You're not going to be in your fullest purpose and potential. I'm not better than anyone, Malt. I'm not better than you. You're not better than me. We are equal in the sight of righteousness. We both have a commonality of the potential to do good. That's what we have in common. What's your good power? What's your super good power? What's mine? Let's talk about that with each other. So I'm not better than anyone. I just err on the side of kindness. And that's the side I'm going to take. I'm not taking the Republican side. I'm not taking the Democrat side. I'm not taking the Gentile side, the Jew, the Mason, the Elk, the Eastern Star, the whatever side you're on. I'm not on those sides. I'm on the side of righteousness. That's the side I'm on. And I name it that. That's what it's named. So we talk about in verse 19 now, which I'm getting into, about the haters and the wicked and the people of blood. That's what they like. They like the corrugated blood of a chicken. The chicken has blood, but when you cook it, the blood correlates. It hardens, right? And you eat that. And when you eat that, it just melts inside your body and you're eating chicken blood. Yes! This is what's happening. Why do you think there's a bird flu going around? You're not supposed to be eating fowl. Come on now, people. I'm guilty, okay? I'm not going to sit here and say about folks eating this, and I'm guilty myself, okay? So in verse 19, we have the story. Give me some beef. Malt, come on now. We don't want no beef. We don't want no beef. We don't want no smoke. We don't want no conflict. We don't want no beef. What beef you got with me? Okay. So in verse 19, oh, that righteousness would slay the wicked. Men of blood, depart from me. Go, like depart. I don't want it. Malt, licky. In verse 20, it talks about these folks that they speak against righteousness with malicious intent. No, I don't want no good barbecue smoke. That's what they do. They just look, the devil is a sneaky kind of person. I'd say the devil is a sneaky bitch. Because guess what? The devil disguises the flesh into these beautiful dishes. And you're like, let me eat that. It's delicious. So be careful. Be careful about the barbecue chicken and the barbecue stuff. Okay? Be very careful. You're still eating a flesh. I still see it as a flesh. I'm like, I don't want it. So the speaking, and this is about communications. When I hear the word speak, I'm hearing communication. People are speaking against I with malicious intent, and I enemies take the name of righteousness in vain. Okay? They take the name of righteousness in vain. And do I not dislike the wicked, those who don't love righteousness, those who err on the side of wrongness? I don't love those folks. And I do not loathe those who rise up against righteousness. Don't I loathe those who rise up against righteousness? I don't like folks who bully people, right? You know, they got childhood bullies. Those are people who are rising up against somebody who is righteous and innocent and kind and just bullying them, right? I don't love those folks. But in the psalm, it talks about hate. Verse 22, I hate them with complete hatred. I count them my enemies. Those who don't love righteousness. But I don't want to use the word hate. Hate is too much to take. It's too much of a load on my heart, right? So I don't want to hate. I want to just, I do not love them. I do not love those who rise up against righteousness. And I count those who rise up against righteousness as enemies. When you rise up against goodness and mercy and love, you're my enemy. When I send you a gift and you take it as a threat or that you're insecure about it, you put yourself in the enemy category. You put yourself there. I didn't put you there. You know, I'm kind. I want you to be, I want to be, your friend. But there's no friendship lost if you don't want to be my friend and you take my kindness as a threat or as something other than what it is. Then guess what? You have counted yourself as an enemy. And any enemy of mine is an enemy of God. Okay? And when you go against a child of God, you hurt a child of God, you lie, you cheat, you disrespect the child of God, okay? When all they got is good for you, guess what? Your days on this earth gonna be fucked up. Yeah, I said the F word. This channel is not a channel for children, okay? But it's gonna be messed up. It's gonna be a situation you gonna wish you were never born. Because of your choices and actions, okay? Your choices and actions. And according to Psalm 139, check out the choices and actions. Check out the choices and actions in verse 19. 19 to 22, talking about the wicked and how they speaking maliciously against folks. Okay? So in verse 23 and 24, as we end the psalm, search I, O righteousness, and know I heart. That F-bomb I just dropped, people like, ooh, she just said a curse word and it's the end of the world. Yeah, okay. Search me, righteousness, for another word that I need to use. Search me. I'm not perfect. I never said I was. I never said I am the perfect one. There is one perfect one, and I came out of that perfection. But I have fallen short of that glory because I'm on the earth. Gravity has got me there, down here in this body. Okay? But I'm not leading with this body. I'm not leading with it. I'm leading with the righteousness that is going to keep this body safe. Okay? And when I lead with righteousness, I treat people with goodness. I give my kindness and my love to folks, and then they turn around and trample it like a pig, like a swine. You don't throw your pearls to swine. Okay? They're going to come back and trample on you. They're going to be in your house, get up in the morning, they don't even tell you good morning. They in your house. Right? That's a swine. You're giving them kindness and they're coming back and trampling on you, right? So what do? We have to stay in the righteousness. We have to ask righteousness to try us and know our thoughts and to see when there's any grievous way in you, or and lead you in the way of righteousness for all time to come. So I have to search within myself as well to see if there's any grievous way in I. Okay, I don't want to have any grievousness in me for anyone or anything or anyone or any person. So I like that the psalm ends with that. It ends with, please look and see if there's any grievous way inside of me and lead me in the way ever first of righteousness. Let me put righteousness first. Let that be the first thing. Okay? Let that, thank you, Mal, that you didn't hear a thing. Play this back and you're going to hear it. After I go live, people may be sleeping around this time. So they miss it and they look at it afterwards and they're going to hear that I dropped a F-bomb here. But anyway, sometimes I do that. Okay, I'm not perfect. I came out of perfection and I've fallen short of the glory. So my job is to keep on pushing, keep on growing, so I can be like a tree planted by the rivers of water that bring forth fruit in due season. Okay? The end. Selah and Selah again. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in the sight of what is righteous, good, kind, and loving. Thank you so much for being on this Chantasama Day and for sticking out here with me as we look at the word acceptance. Okay? What is acceptance? When we talk about the psalm today, searching ourselves. Okay? Thank you, Mark, for learning something and being open-minded. So when we talk about searching ourselves and looking within ourselves, it always starts with the I. The word acceptance is about accepting you for who you are. I practice acceptance and I welcome unexpected bliss. Okay? So listen to this very closely. This is the word today, acceptance. Life's circumstances feel easier to accept when things are going well. Right? When things are going well, you can accept it. However, acceptance can be more of a challenge to practice when I are called to face undesirable or painful situations, like what I had to face, right? My son passing away at the age of 32 in a motel. My dad passing away the following year, suddenly collapsing on the side of the bed. My fiance of 6 years met someone else, didn't tell me. So these undesirable and painful situations that I have faced, okay, have been challenged. They're more of a challenge. It's more of a challenge to practice acceptance when this happens. But when you've been rejected, it's rejection is protection. You're being protected. My dad told me that when I said they met someone else. He said, it's okay. Be glad. So my interpretation of that is like, wait a minute. My being rejected is my protection. Yeah. So I'm going to embrace it and give thanks that I have been saved to see this day. Okay? Acceptance is possible no matter how dire the circumstance or how seemingly hopeless the situation. When I surrender my concerns to the divine within, don't surrender your concerns to someone outside of you. Okay? Surrender your concerns to the divine within. Remember I said we came out of perfection. There's this divine one, right? All of us came out of that, but we have forgotten who we are as divine beings. Because like the one that was on it talking about the flesh and sex and all that, we have taken ourselves into those spaces because we are in our bodies. When in fact, tapping into the inside is going to be our stronghold. The flesh is weak. It's not going to be strong. You can pump all the iron you can pump. Okay? So when I surrender my concerns to the divine within, I am living my faith that sometimes the highest and best outcomes may not be what I envision or hope for. Right? My outcome and what I envisioned was that this person would be my person for the rest of my life and we would be growing old together, da 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 da. Not happening, right? Not happening. So choosing acceptance, I accept it. I have accepted it. Choosing acceptance means standing firm in righteousness about your view is limited and likely does not encompass the full picture or every possible solution. So when you choose acceptance, you got to know that your view is limited and likely does not encompass a full picture of every possible solution, right? Choosing acceptance is trusting divine order. There's a divine order of things, okay? And divine timing. I wanted to meet someone I haven't met them, talking friends for 17 years. And they had an opportunity to come see me and they didn't, and I just had to accept it, right? Okay, I accept it. Because choosing acceptance is trusting divine order and divine timing. It wasn't the timing yet. It wasn't the order yet, right? So I have to accept it, not get a temper tantrum and throw a hissy fit, right? That's immature. A mature person is going to be secure within themselves and be like, okay, there's another time, you know what I mean? But I'm not perfect. I've fallen short of the glory, so I may get in a way like, However, righteousness brings me forward into that divine within that says, wait a minute. No. Trust in that divine order and divine timing and believe and know that worldly control is only an illusion. It's an illusion. Worldly control is only an illusion. What does that mean? That means that things outside the world that control us, that's an illusion. I practice acceptance and know tranquility and calm of mind. So practicing acceptance Staying in the presence of righteousness and doing the will of that is righteous. That is where we need to be. So the word today, acceptance, is beautiful. It just ties into Psalm 139 about searching yourself. It ties into the communication is important in relationships. It ties into that. So the word today is brought to us by Matthew 6:10. Righteousness is going to come. Righteousness is going to be done on earth as righteousness is in heaven. Righteousness is going to cover the earth as the water covers the sea. So let's just be good. Let's just see who can outgood each other. I wrote a story. It's a kindness island, and the characters in the story were trying every day to outkind each other. How can this person be the kindest? That's what the story was about. So think about that as you go through your day. How can you be kind today? What can you do today to show kindness? What can you do today to show that righteousness has come and that righteousness will be done on earth as righteousness is in the highest places, right? How can you show that? How can you be part of that? Hey, Sir Jiggy with it. Sunshine, you bright. Oh, mwah. And Stephen. Amen and amen again, Stephen. Thank you so much, Motliki. I receive your condolences for my losses. The trinity of losses. I say my relationship, my son, and my dad. 3 in 1 has just been lost. And it's okay, because guess what? One of those people are still alive. So that's a good thing. My son is not, my dad is not, but the person who left me for someone else is still alive. So I'm glad that they're happy and they're still alive and they're doing well and they're, getting married or whatever that's happening with them. I want the best for everyone. I don't want the worst for folks. People, when bad things happen to people, is because something that they have done that we don't know is between them and righteousness, right? They kind of slipped off on the way. When I broke my arm, how many years ago? 6 years ago, I broke my arm. I broke my arm in Arkansas 6 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. Yeah, 5 years ago. 2019, I broke my arm. And I didn't blame anybody. I looked at myself. What am I doing? Okay. What am I doing? Thank you, Stephen. Good morning to you too. Good morning to you too. My students call me Dr. Sewer, but you don't have to call me Dr. Stephen. It's okay. You're not a student, but it's okay. But we have this word today, acceptance. And what are we going to do? What are we accepting in our lives? That's the question. What are we accepting in our lives? How do we practice acceptance and welcome these unexpected bless that's coming to us? So I want to end the psalm. We are at the hour here. I wanted to look at the verse today. The verse today is coming from Matthew. So we have Matthew is happening. Matthew is our guide today. Matthew chapter 11, verse 28. So Matthew in the verse today says, come, come to I, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. I love it. Who is this I that Matthew is talking about? He's talking about righteousness. Come to kindness. Come to love. Come to compassion. Come to mercy. Come to long suffering. Come to forgiveness. Come to kindness. Come to that when you are weary and burdened. And I will give I rest. So we ask this in the name of love. You can say in the name of Jesus, in the name of Jehovah, however you want to put that or frame that. That's your business. That's nobody's business what your relationship is with that one most high. You may be an atheist and still, love caring and compassion and kindness. Oh, thank you, Stephen. I'm a lifelong student myself, so I join you on that, and I am in my 50s. Okay. So, and thank you calling me Dr. Sound Sophisticated. I was teaching, I was substitute teaching a sixth grade language arts and reading class. And this is with the public school in Texas. And I told the students, you can call me Miss Carla, you can call me Dr. Sewer, but just don't call me out of my name. So couple students said the same thing you said, Stephen. They called me Dr. Sewer. They said, Dr. Sewer, and they felt very empowered doing that. They were sixth graders, for crying out loud. And it gave them a sense of, you know what? I want to go to college. I want to keep learning. I'm being taught by a doctor in the sixth grade. Wow. So they were impressed by that. I'm not impressed by those titles. However, it's important that children get to see and be around that. That's why every summer, your fellow Texan, every summer I immerse myself in a summer workshop, creative arts and literacy. Registration opened on the 25th of December because in 2025, we're going into our fifth year doing this summer workshop. I'm so excited. I want to just shed tears of joy because I struggled doing this, okay? Struggled. And we made it to the fifth year. Summer 2025 is going to be off the charts, man. Okay, this summer, my dad passed. I had to cut the workshop into pieces. It was just, the parents were so understanding that I was grieving my dad, even though I kept the workshop going as long as I could. So this summer coming up, 2025, I just want everybody to be safe. I don't want any more deaths, okay? Just everybody be safe out there. So I'm excited about what's going to happen in the summer 2025 with this workshop, the fifth year. Who knows? I might get a celebrity to come down here and, support it, So anybody want to come to the Virgin Islands in the summertime, 2025, get your tickets today. My tea is cold already. Anyway, that was the wrap up. Any questions? Just send me a message. You have my email, drcarlamsewer@negaseducation.com. You can email me. You can, send me a message. If you want a one-on-one, I do one-on-one consultations and dealing with education, really. I'm not a psychotherapist. I'm not a family therapist. I'm not a therapist. I am a family life educator, and I work with children and families. I'm a child development professor, so I teach child development. And I'm teaching in Texas, Malt. I'm gonna be teaching in Texas in the coming 2025. Yeah, Malt. I'm gonna be teaching there in 2025. Let me see. Malt. Okay, Malt Licky. Yes, I'm going to be teaching one class in Texas. And I have a full load. I'm excited to be teaching at my alma mater, Texas Women's University in Denton. Mwah! Shout out to all my pioneers, my fellow pioneers. Guess what? I got 60 something students. Okay? This ain't no jokey business. So I'm excited about the upcoming semester. Today's the 28th of December. People are getting ready for the new year. I'm not too far from Dallas. Are you okay? Houston had some storms in Houston. They had a tornado there, Malt. You gotta be careful. Be safe out there. And Stephen, you're not too far from Dallas. Look at all my Dallas and my Texas folks. I'm so glad that you all are on this, because when I get to Texas, guess what? Guess what? I gotta go. My daughter's calling. She is calling me, and I gotta get her call. So everybody have a beautiful, blessed day, and remember, stand in love. Don't fall in it. Take good care. Fire. Hey, Bubba. You reached day. Have a blessed day, everyone. I am on my live, and I'm just finishing when you call in. Yeah. Today was about communication. It was about, searching yourself, your heart. And it was beautiful. I got all my YouTube followers here. So have a blessed day, everyone. And remember, stand in love. Don't fall in it. Don't fall in it. Mwah. Kisses. Hugs. We love it all. Thank you for liking this video. Boom. Take good care. I'll see you next time.